Hello, welcome to video training. We'll be covering the unit system, Chapter 2, Level 1, Chapter 2, Selling Whole Good Inventory. All right, let's begin. From the main menu, we're going into unit sales. Okay, prior to doing this, we've added our unit inventory by using unit inventory maintenance. We obviously have created our make file, our product files. We've ran some reports. Now it's time to sell some inventory. We're going to start off with a couple of examples. Many dealers just starting off using the system, what they'll do is put in a lot of units, and some of the units they put in they sold. They sold a week ago, they sold a month ago, and now they put the units in, and now they just want to go in. They've got all the paperwork in front of them, and they just want to go in and enter the sale into the system. So we're going to do one of those first. We're going to go in basically saying, okay, I sold this 2 weeks ago, I put it in there, now I want to sell it out. Then we're going to do some other examples. But let's start off with a simple scenario of putting a brand new customer that's never ever showed up, never been here before. We're going in to create and recall a deal. First thing I want is a deal number. What's a deal number? Well, first and foremost, you can create what we call a deal. You can use the system as what we call a prospecting system. When I say a prospecting system, what that means is we can take a potential customer that walks in the door that says, I'm interested in one of your products. And many of our customers will sit the customer down, create a deal. And by creating a deal, they're going to enter his name, get all the information about the customer. Obviously, what they want to do is they want to turn that prospect into a customer. And the way to do that is get all the information about the customer. So now you have a way of contacting them. You can email them. Find out what the customer is interested in, find out what his price range is, and whether he buys anything at that particular time or not. Now you know there's a potential customer here. He's looking to buy something. I'd rather have him buy it from me than somebody else. So when you're prospecting, obviously you'll ask you all those questions. You can find out what he's interested in, and you can save it. And one of the things it'll ask you when you save it is, hey, do you want me to call you back? Well, what's the follow-up date? And when you key that follow-up date, you have the option of putting some notes in. Okay, well, he's going to check with his wife. I'll get back to him in a week. And that's all part of the prospecting. And we're going to be going over all of that. I just wanted to explain some of the features that you have here. Well, we're going to start off with a very simple scenario. A scenario is the customer already bought this product. He bought it 2 weeks ago. All I want to do is tell the system that it's sold, who it's sold to, and take it out of my inventory because I sold this. So first thing it's saying is, what's the deal? Usually people use the telephone number, though you don't need to. So I'm just going to type in a telephone number here. I happen to know it's not in my system. Now, this is only looking at the deal side of it. It's saying there is no deal. We want to create a new deal. Yes, we do, because you could have various deals for the same exact customer. Now it's saying, okay, well, who's the customer? And let's just type in that phone number. Now what it's going to do now it's going to check my database, the same exact database that the service departments use, the parts department is using. Or if he was a customer already, it'd be looking at that if he bought another unit prior to this. Just like using the parts system and the service system, it's going to look at that. If it's not out there, it's going to say, hey, this particular customer is not in my system. If I say no, I can do a lookup and try to find them. If I say yes, which we're going to do right now, I'm going to hit the Enter key, and it's going to go up to the exact same screen we've seen before. This is my customer maintenance screen. Obviously, you've seen this before. This has been covered in service. It's also been covered in parts. It's also covered in the accounts receivable. It's the exact same screen. Let's enter the customer information. Obviously, with a customer code alpha, we're going to put in Joe Jones. As you're well aware, it'll take Jones and use that as the last name and put it in the alpha field. We're going to, obviously, this is standard Windows. You can type in the tab key, the Enter key. The things that are extremely important, obviously, the phone numbers and email addresses, because as you're well aware, the system has complete email address. So what you can do here is you can email this customer You can send them quotes. You can contact them. You can find out what's going on with an email address. So email address and phone number is obviously extremely important. That's all I'm going to enter. There again, we've gone over this before. We're going to hit F4. That customer is now in my database. Now this is the exact same database that we're using for parts and service. Now I could have also done a deal without putting him in my database. Just the deal is a temporary database where if he decides not to buy something, we don't want any information about him. In this case, he bought something. I want him in my permanent database. So now he's part of my system, whether he comes in and buys parts. He's a customer of mine. We also have our user-defined template for our customer database that we created in our AR system. And so maybe we want to have his work address, his work phone number, whatever you've created for a user-defined database for your customer. At this point, the next thing we want to do is put in a comment. Maybe he's a friend of the owner, something like that. The other thing that is extremely important is some people like to put birth dates because they use the birth dates. They'll send birthday cards on somebody's birthday. You can do that with the email system. This is a field that is very important. How did you hear from us? We have a report. And what this report will do, it'll tell you why people are in your place. It's it's called Origin Report. And for example, suppose we put an ad in the paper, and it costs us $1,000, and we want to measure, well, how many sales did we make because of that ad? We went to a show. It cost us $5,000. How many sales did we actually do from that show? How many sales are we doing just from word of mouth? So what this will do, will organize your sales when you're making sales on how many products you sold from going to that show. Maybe I put down here show, '08. So that's the show we did in 2008. I want to measure that show. So now at the end of the year, I may want to see how much profit we made just from that one show. So that is actually going to trigger a report so we can keep track of those kinds of things, which are very important to keep track of. I'm going to hit F12, and now it's basically telling me this customer is not authorized to bill, which we know. It wants to know who the salesperson is, and you put the salesperson in. Now, it's asking me for the unit that we sold this particular customer. There again, we're putting something in that we sold a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. First of all, we have a lookup. If I know the stock number, I can key it in. So let's just do that. We're going to type in a stock number here. And I'm hitting the Enter key. Now, if I hit the Enter key without the stock number, it'll give me that standard lookup so we can look and pick the unit from our lookup. In this case, we're going to put a unit in. It'll basically say, okay, is this the unit that you wanted? It's a Yamaha. We own it. Here's the retail price. Here's some of the information about it. We don't have any deposits on this unit. We haven't quoted on any of the deals as of yet. So, yes, that's what I want. It comes into my system here. And what we're looking at here is, there again, if you've been using the system at all, whether it be parts or service, this screen is very similar. Pretty much the same functions, pretty much the same options. Let's just go over kind of what you're looking at here. Obviously, the unit is $16,000. We're charging $104 in tax. What is this little 24 down here, and why is it yellow? When you filled out the setup sheet, and there again, one of the questions on that setup sheet was, what do you want your standard profit margin to be in the unit system? Now, I have mine set for 25%. Yours might be set for something totally different. But what that number really means is that because I have it set for 25, I basically told the system, if my profit margin on a deal is less than 25%, I want this thing to be yellow, and I want to show me what it is. If it's 25% or more, I want it to be green. If it's less than cost, I want it to be red. For example, let's change the price on this, and let's just see what happens. Now, I can change the price on a particular line item by selecting, using the up arrow key or using the mouse and selecting it. It gives me various different options. I can display a picture. I can show a video if I have a video of it. I can delete it off the deal if I want and put another one on. I can change the price. Let's change the price to $18,000, and I suspect it'll turn green. And it does. We're making 30% profit, which is A-OK. So you may want to set that and then tell your salespeople, look it, if that little thing is green, you can work out whatever deal you want. I don't really care. Don't worry about it. If it turns yellow, you need my signature. You need my okay, or some manager's got to give you the okay because the profit margin is less than what I really want it to be. If it turns red, you need to stop. So there again, if we want to make it go red, let's go in and change this to 13,000 and see what happens. Well, that makes it 3%. So let's make it, how about 11,000? And that'll probably put us in the red zone. We're losing 15%. So obviously that's not good. So let's suppose we sold this unit for $15,000. And that's what I'm putting in here. And so we've decided that 16% is more than enough. Pretty simple deal. All I did is put this motorcycle in. I put in what we actually charged for it. That's all I want to do. I want to bill it out, take it out of inventory, have it go on my sales journal. Okay, so we're going to hit cash out. And these are the same three buttons that we see in the pot system, the same three buttons that we see in the service system. This is for cashing it out. This is for deleting it. The customer says, I changed my mind. This is for saving it. We're going to be going over some of these options, but right now we're just doing the simplest scenario. Customer came in, put in the information about the customer, put in what I sold it to him for. Maybe I want to add some other things that I sold on here. And we can do that. For example, if we look at some of these buttons, obviously this is to save it, to delete it, to cash it out. This right here is to add what we call free format accessories. Maybe this customer with this particular unit, he basically said, hey, look it, I want you to paint my tank red and I'll pay for it. So I might have said, okay, you click here. You can add whatever you want to add to this particular deal. Okay, and maybe I'm going to charge him $1,000 or $500. Now, I may not, and we're going to charge sales tax on that. Now, I could put a cost here if I wanted to, or if I'm the one doing it, if I'm taking that tank to a shop and having somebody else paint it like it's being subbed out, I may want to put the cost in on what they're going to charge me. If my service department is doing, I may want to leave that blank because the real cost is going to come over and say, okay, I charged the customer $500, maybe it cost me $450. So that's up to you. And there again, we can add as much as we want to this particular deal. When you're done adding things, they're all going to list right here. And that's the charge. If I wanted to discount it, there again, I could click and say, you know what, I'm going to give it to you for $450. Now that's kind of discounting it. You know, or so here's my list price. I'm giving them $50 off. So we can add any kind of accessories. We can go here and create a work order. Maybe I want to create a work order to tell the service department to paint this red. And I can do that. Maybe I want to add another major unit. Maybe he says, look, if I buy two of them, one for me, one for my wife, can I get a better deal? We're going to do that on the next transaction. I can look up accessories. I can actually put a note on here. I can go back to my customer database. Maybe he just remembered that his address was different or something like that. We can go into the pot system and actually pull pots out of inventory and put them on this particular invoice. And just like all our other stuff, you know, you can use the modules, which are just hold it over, it'll tell you what they do, the buttons. Or if you click here, it pretty much lists everything. To get out of here, you know, there are three ways out. I save the quote. I'm going to come back later. I'm going to avoid it, which means I'm just delete everything. Nothing happened here. I can take a deposit or I want to sell it. Let's just sell it. What I wanted to do here was go in, take a customer, put in the unit that we sold them, put in the price that we sold them for, maybe add a few other things that we happen to add to the invoice that we didn't have listed here, put what we charged the customer, and now cash it out. I'm going to cash it out by just cashing here. What's the date that we sold it? Maybe we sold it in March, and we sold it on the 24th. Here's a recap of what's going on here. Here's the quote. Here's what we collected for tax. Here's the balance due. This isn't a deposit. He's actually buying it, so we're clicking right here, no. Now, is it financed? Are we billing it? Credit card, check. Let's just say it's a check. And we're going to put it in here. You might have received the check already, even though it was financed. Your invoice is now printed. Now, keep in mind, this would be your logo, and we would normally set that up for you. You could have a watermark here, so you can make that extremely, nice looking. You'd have your disclaimer over here, and this is normally set up before you start printing invoices. Here's what we charge the customer. Here's a recap of what he's buying. Here's the total amount, and there's the check number. So what we've done there is we've taken that out of inventory. It's now sold, and now it will appear in my sales journal, and now in my inventory is recording that sale, who it was sold to. And now if we go into our service package, if we went into our service package before we sold it, it will say it's an in-house unit, we still own it. The minute we sell that, now in our service program, if we look that unit up, it'll have all the customer's information on it. Now it knows that that unit now belongs to that customer. It doesn't belong to us anymore. Okay, so that was the first example. Let's do another example. Let's suppose a customer comes in who's been here before. I'm going to click Create and Recall the Deal. And maybe I'm just going to put in, let's just say the person's name is Bert. I'm just going to use his last name. It says, yeah, we're creating a new deal. Yep, yes we are. And it's saying, okay, do you have the customer on file? Well, let's check. What's your telephone number? Type it in. This customer's been here before. It's Larry Bird. Now, where did it get that information from? It got it from your AR customer tracking file. It got put in there either by the parts person, by the service person. Maybe he bought another unit 2 months ago. Now we've got the same thing. Want to put a little comment? Maybe in this one here, he's here because we put an ad to paper. Paper Z. So we're going to keep track of that. Now, let's suppose we put a salesman, and now I'm not sure what he bought. Or you know what? Maybe I do know the stock number. If I know the stock number, I can type it in. If I don't know the stock number, there again, you can just hit the Enter key, and you're looking at our standard lookup that we went over previously. Maybe he's interested in a boat. We just sold a motorcycle, let's sell a boat. I just want to see, what do I have? Maybe he's asking me, what do I have in a certain price range? Maybe he wants to know, what do I have on certain manufacturers? Hey, I'm looking for strictly four winds, and I want to see all the four winds you have. Or I just want to see everything you have that's a boat. So I hit product, and I'm saying, let's look and see what we have for boats. Well, here's a listing of all my boats. Here's the price. Keep in mind, this tells me whether I quoted another deal. This tells me if I have a deposit. Let's select this one here. Now, when I select this one, this is telling me that this unit is part of a package. That's something else you can do with the system. You can package things together. And it's saying, okay, this unit is part of a package. Do you want the whole package or just one particular piece of the unit? The default is yes. Normally, I'd want the whole package. So I'm just going to hit the Enter key. And what it's going to do, it's going to go through and it's going to say, okay, on this package, there's a boat. There's a four-wind Horizon. It's $18,000. I want that. There's also an outboard motor, a Yamaha 150. Yeah, I want that. There's also a trailer. Yes, I want that. So what we have here is 3 serialized products. Product A is your boat, $18,000. Product B happens to be an outboard motor for $8,100. Product C happens to be a trailer. We're making 34% on all 3. Okay. Now, let's go over some more options in here. For example, we already know that we can click on this here, look at a picture of it. For example, if I look at this right here, and let's see if we have a picture of this. Yes, we do. Let's suppose, and I'm going to take a typical example. Maybe the customer says, well, you know what? I don't want that Yamaha 150. I need a bigger motor. I want something that's a little bit bigger. Can you take it off that and put it on something else? Yeah, I can do that. Well, how do you want to do that? I can do this here. I can say, let's get rid of the 150. He doesn't want it. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to say delete it. It says, okay, you want to delete the Yamaha 150? Yes, we do. Do you want to delete all the accessories? I happen to have no accessories on here. So I'm going to say, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Now we don't have a motor on this thing. So now he says, okay, well, what do you got for motors? Now I could have grabbed the other one first if I wanted to, but now we're going to go over here, add new major unit. Now we're going to go over all these buttons, but you also, sometimes over here is a little bit easy to use. Everything listed right here. What do you want to do? I want to add another major unit. I want to go out there. I want to find a motor. What do I got for outboard motors? So let's click here, add major unit. It says, okay, every unit, you can sell as many units as you want on one particular deal. In this case, I want this to be B. I want this to B is my is where my motor is going. So that's going to be B. Doesn't have to be. And I don't know the stock number. I want to see what I have for outboard motors, quote him for a price, and see what he wants to do. So I'm just going to go to my lookup screen, just say, okay, what do we have for outboard motors? And here's all my outboard motors. Now, obviously, he had a 150. He doesn't want it. He wants the 225. Not that much more money. So let's give him the 225. We've actually had it for 2 years. It's 1985. And now we're going on here, and obviously the price is now adjusted. So what we did is we took off the 150 and put in a 225. So you can manipulate this as much as you want. Let's go over some other options. And first I'll go over some of the buttons here. Obviously this here is the finalize and cash it out. This here is obviously delete it. This here is to save it. Now when we save it, we're going to have various different options that we're going to be going over. This is to add any kind of accessory that you want. Now when you're going to add accessory, we've got 3 different products on here. It's asking me, what is this for? Is it for the trailer? Is it for the motor? Or is it for the boat? Because if we delete one of these, we probably don't want the accessory too. So maybe I want to add, maybe this person wants the trailer painted red. And we're going to charge him $1,000 to do that. And, maybe we're subbing it out and we know it's going to cost us $800 and that's all we're making on it. That's no big deal. And I can go on and on and on. Now, I may just want to list all the things that's included if I didn't do that when I put the unit in. So there again, we're charging $1,000 and we're going to paint this thing red. Now, obviously, I said it was non-taxable. If I made a mistake, I can change it, and now it's taxable. So there again, no matter what kind of mistake you make, it's pretty easy to correct it. If I change my mind, he says I don't want to do it, click on it, and delete it. So it's really easy to modify whatever you need to modify. So we've gone over this, obviously, add free accessories. We've got this here, creating a work order. Now, creating a work order might be where maybe he wants you to paint the trailer red, and now you want to create the work order telling the service department to paint this thing red. This is to add major units. He may say, look, you know what, at the same time, can I buy a jet ski and maybe you'll give me a better deal? Sure you can. Let's go find a jet ski. I can click right here, say, okay, what do we got for jet skis? If I knew the stock number, I'd key it in. I don't know the stock number. So let's just see what we have for jet skis. And jet skis, and we don't have any. So we got a problem there. Let's see what we have for generators. Well, we have some generators. Maybe he wants a generator. So let's give him this Honda generator. We have it in a warehouse. It's only $344. Now we've added another major unit. We're up to 33%. So we have 4 major units we're selling on this one deal. Okay, we also have accessories. Now, we haven't gone over how to create an accessory file. We'll be going over that. But right now, we're just keeping to the basics. This is the exact same file that we went over when we were adding inventory. And when you're selling stuff, you basically have, you could access to the accessory file where if the customer says, well, this is a boat, can I add, I want a Coast Guard package. So I'm going to click here. Now, whenever I'm adding anything to a unit, if there's more than one unit, it's going to ask me what unit it's for. If there was only one unit, we wouldn't see this screen. So obviously, you're only going to see this screen when, if you're typical like a motorcycle dealer, you're typically just selling one unit and you'll never really see the screen very much. If you're a boat dealer or a motorcycle dealer that sells multiple products, then you will see the screen. And let's just say that this particular thing that we're pulling out is for the boat. and so we grab that and we put it for the boat. Maybe we're going to do a trailer attachment. And, so we can pick whatever we want, and it pulls it, and now it's part of this deal. So that's just picking from your accessory file. And there again, some manufacturers supply us with an accessory file, and it's all preloaded. This would be to just add a note. Maybe you want to put a little note here and say, look, he's going to call his wife up. I told him I'd give him a call back next week. This note gets attached to this deal. And you can say save note. And you can also have a private note. A private note is something you never want anybody to see. This goes back to your deal screen here. And this will take me right back to the customer. Maybe this customer says, well, gee, I spent a lot of money with you. Can you give me some type of a discount? Well, there again, this is the same thing we've gone over before. We can see how much money he spent. Well, in the last 2 years, you haven't spent a lot of money. So I don't know if I'm going to give you too much off. Is the complete detailed history of everything he's ever done. Obviously, he's been a customer since 1999. And there again, we've gone over all that stuff earlier on earlier chapters on how to look at that detail and see what it is. This is to actually pull a part out of inventory. For example, maybe the customer says, look I want an extra trailer for my trailer, an extra tire for my trailer. I'll have a habit of getting flat tires. Well, I can click here, and it's saying, okay, you want to pull a part out of inventory. What is that part for? It's for the trailer. So we're going to click on the trailer. And what do we want to pull out of inventory? Obviously, this is the part system. This is exactly what we've gone over earlier. I got to see what we have for trailers in the stock. So I'm just going to hit the enter key. If I knew the size knew the size tire, I would just type in the size, hit keyword. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's just look at all my tires and see what I got. So let me see what we got for tires. Okay, the tire you're looking for is this one right here for $76. Okay, so we're going to pull one of those out of inventory. So right now it's pulled out of inventory. There again, this is the sales programs, same exact thing. We're going to hit save. We're saving this to that unit. And now that tire, if you look, is out of my inventory. And it's on this unit right here for $76. And it's with the trailer. Here's my trailer. It's all part of this here. So, you can pull parts also. There again, you have you're adding any major units, add free format accessories, accessory lookup. Let's do a trade. We've got add live inventory. Major unit, this here if you want to look at the user defined template. This is if you want to add or change any notes. You also have some other functions. Like obviously this takes you back to the header. This displays the current status of what's going on. In other words, it looks at everything and tells me if there's any ROs, anything open that I should know about on any of these units. Obviously there are no open ROs. We're not working on it. You'd actually see any closed ones. Maybe we could see that, hey, this thing's all been set up. They're all ready to go. Or, for example, if that tank was supposed to be painted, you'd see that it was painted. It was done. Also, return deposits. Now, we're going to be getting into that, where let's just take a deposit. Well, once you take a deposit, you're going to get people that say, well, I want to return it. I want my money back. Display unit information will give you more information about the unit. This here allows you to change tax rates if you're in a situation where you have multiple tax rates. And there again, that gets somewhat complicated. So what you probably need to do if you're in a state or a country where your tax rates are very variable, we can set up what we call a tax matrix and a tax, make sure your taxes are set up properly. Cost plus deal. That's used quite a bit if you're selling to another dealer or sometimes if you're selling to a customer. The best way to give the customer the best possible price is just come up and say, okay, I'll give you this whole thing at cost plus 20. What it'll do, it'll ask me cost plus whatever. I'll type in maybe cost plus 15, and it's going to take every single line item and make it 15%. So it's going to make my price so that at the end of this, when the smoke settles here at the end of this deal, I'm going to make 15% profit. Creating a work order. There's only 3 ways out of this thing. I'm either going to save the quote, which means, okay, this is what I'm quoting you, make a decision and come back later. Void it, which means I'm going to delete everything here. Take a deposit. Confirm it, which means, okay, this is a serious person. He's not kicking tires. He said, I'm going to buy it. I'll be back here Friday, and I want to confirm it. All it does, it codes it so that if you look at it, you know it's kind of confirmed. This is, hey, I'm selling it. Let's just take a deposit. Let's assume the customer, or you know what, let's do this here. Let's just say, look at, I got to talk to my wife. Can you give me a call tomorrow? So if that was the case, what I may want to do, I may want to click here and just, put down a little message here that say, call, wife, and that's what he's going to do. So that's going to remind me when I do call him back, I'm going to look at that, and it's also going to print out, so it's going to remind me, okay, he was supposed to check with his wife. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save it. And when I save it, it says, do you want to take a deposit? No, he doesn't want to give me any money at this particular time, so I'm going to say no. When do you want me to follow up? Now the system automatically defaults to be 7 days. So whatever date you're in, it's going to automatically come up with 7 days from that. In this case, I can say, you know what, we'll give you a call tomorrow. Okay? Now, do you want to print a quote sheet? If I click here, it's going to print a quote sheet. If I want to click here, it'll actually send him an email. Maybe he's on the phone. He's going to say, can I get an email? And I want to check it out. It's going to send him an email, this whole thing. Just to show you what it looks like, let's just do this right here. And there again, it's basically is what the quote sheet is my price, is the different stock numbers. We're giving him a boat, an outboard, a trailer, and it'll tell you exactly what it is. It's getting these descriptions from that product file that you created. So he's getting actually 4 serialized products, and he's getting obviously some accessories. Here's the accessories he's getting for the boat. Here's the accessory we pulled from inventory, and is what his quote's being $33,000. Okay, so now customer comes back and says, okay, I want to buy that unit. I'm here. Let's work out a deal. You'd go into create recall a deal. I would type in bird, or if I didn't remember what I typed, I could hit the enter key. Here's all of my open deals. And obviously, if we look at the one what we typed in here, it was it's the one we did right here, bird. $31,000 and 33 total here with the tax and everything included. And now there again, we can adjust prices. You can do it by putting in, doing a cost plus. You can do it by just clicking on any line and say, okay, well, I'll give it to you for $17,000. There's various different ways of doing pricing, and every dealer does it a little bit differently, obviously. So whether you want to detail it by price, whether you want to do it by a hey, I'll give it to you at 20%, and it's going to make every single line item 20% profit, and so it'll adjust every single one, whether you want to take it off one, or whether you want to just say, I'll give you $2,000 off the deal. So there's various different ways of discounting. Now, another thing we may want to do, suppose the customer says, well, look, I'd like to do a trade. Let's do that. Deal option, add trade. Now, when you're doing a trade, you can do as many trade-offs as you want. I mean, you could do 2 or 3 trades on one deal. There is no limit. First question it's asking me is, obviously this is the first one we're doing, so it's number 1. It's going to ask me what the make is. Now, here's that make file that we created. There again, that file is going to get looked at every time we need to pick a make. If it's not here, and it's just say, hey, it's not a 4 winds, it's not something here, maybe it's another. And there again, that's why we mentioned earlier, when you're creating a make file, it's sometimes good to put an other down, because somebody may be trading something in that you've never even seen before. But let's just say this person's trading in a Yamaha. Well, what is it? Well, maybe this is a motorcycle. And it's a 2001, and maybe we don't know the VIN number. We'll put that in later because we just don't know. We're going to give him $1,500 off. What's it really worth? Yeah, I think it's really worth $1,500. Now there's also another option here. Is there a payoff? If in fact there's a payoff, you'd hit payoff amount. What's the payoff amount? Well, it's $500. And who's it for? Maybe it's, bank A, B, C. So, what we've got here, we've got our trade-in. We're giving $1,500 off. And we also have a $500 payoff that we have to pay because he still owes $500 on it. So you can put in as many trades as you want. If we want to add another trade, there again, I'm doing trade number 2. Maybe this here is a Toro, and maybe it's a Ride lawnmower. And maybe it's a 1998. And we don't know the VIN number, but you know what? We're going to give him $500 off, and you know what? The thing is probably worth about $200. So there again, you've got various options that you can do. Now we're down to $29,000. If in fact he wants to give me a deposit, we can actually click here, finalize deal, or we can click here. If we do it here, it's going to say, okay, that's, maybe we're going to get back to him on the 7th. Here's the bottom line here. Here's the quote. Here's the trade-off. But instead of saying no, we're going to say no. We're not finalizing it. It's just a down payment. And what is the deposit? Deposit is $3,000. How's he giving it to you? Cash, check, credit card, debit card, and there again, if you have our authorization software, a debit card obviously is the most economical way to take deposits because it's just a flat 65-cent fee. You're not going to be paying, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4% of the total deposit. So obviously there's lots and lots of money saved by using debit cards. And, now we're going to get a receipt printed, and all this is basically saying is that, okay, you gave me $3,000, here's what it's for. Just basically a receipt acknowledging that he gave you money. Now, if you want, you can pay, print out a quote sheet if you wish. So if we go back into that deal again now, and I type in Bird, that's what I just put in here. Here's the deal, and obviously, we've got our deal here, and we've got our trade-ins. And we've got our cash deposit. So if you look at the screen, everything's right here. Obviously, only owes me $2,600. And we can do this scenario as many times as we want. Now, one or two things are going to happen. Maybe he wants to give me another deposit. Maybe he says, okay, I'll give you another $1,000. You can go on and take as many deposits as you want. You could do a layaway and say, look, come in every week and just give me $100. You can do that every single week. And if you'd want to do that another deposit, obviously, when you're taking a deposit, you're probably better off doing right here, or exit and say deposit. Follow up. There again, we'll follow up Monday. Okay. He gave you $1,000 so far. Maybe he's going to give me another $1,000 today, and it's the same thing. We're going to take cash. And, here's my deposit receipt. Gave me $3,000, gave me $1,000. Total so far is $4,000. If I want, I can print a quote sheet. Now, some people like to print quote sheets. Some people don't. If you want to, you can also give this to the customer, which obviously is a little bit more information. This tells him exactly what he's buying, what you quoted him on pricing, and the different dates he gave you the deposit and what the balance due is. He gave me a deposit. Obviously, it's all the same date, 3,000, 1,000. So this can go on and on and on and on and on. Now it's time. The customer says, okay, I want to pick it up. Same thing. Create recall a deal. Type in the customer's telephone number normally or name. It doesn't matter. He says, okay, that's it. I'm buying it. Going home. Done deal. We're going to cash this thing out. We're selling it. Today's the date. This ain't a down payment anymore. This is a done deal. Here's a recap of what we get. He gave me $4,000 already. Now, what's he doing? If he's financing it, obviously you're financing it. Now, if these things are things you sold already, you're not going to click finance. You're probably going to click check because you already got the check already. So let's just do check because this is something you've been backdating. And now the thing's sold, taken out of inventory, and here's a recap of what we did. So it's very, very flexible. Now it's actually putting those trade-ins back into my system. Here's the Yamaha that we trade in. Whenever you take a trade-in, it's going to automatically put it in your unit system. Here's the Yamaha. We said it was worth $1,500. Well, that's what it put in there as the base cost. We can change it if we want. We also traded in the Toro lawnmower. We said it's worth $500. That's what we gave him off. So, it'll do all that automatically. It'll take your trades, put it into your system already, do everything automatically. So let's go over that one more time. What I want to do is, there again, I'm going to go over, putting the deal in, selling it in one sweep. Go here, put in a customer. Let's just type in the telephone number. This is somebody that had a deal out there already. Here's the deal. So maybe he says, no, I don't want this anymore. I want to create a whole new one. So, there again, if you type in a telephone number that's out there, it'll come up and show you the deal. And if you want to see all your deals, they're all here. So let's do an example. Brand new customer comes in. New deal. Yep. Let's put my customer in. Put in his telephone number. He's not in here. Let's add him in. Call him new customer. And obviously we're going to key in the address and our state and all the things that are important. The email address, which is very important. And we're going to hit F4 for add. Now my customer's in my permanent database. So now I can email him. Now I can contact him, which is whether he buys anything or not. It's important to do this, I think, because one of the things you want to do is market. People will pay a lot of money for a name list. People, this person is interested in your product. So he's a really potential customer. By getting his information, you have a lot higher degree to turn him into not just a potential customer, but a real customer. So now we've got his information. It's copied here. There again, why are you here? Hey, look at because of the show that I saw you at the show. And let's just say show Z. Now we actually know the unit that he wants to buy. If you don't know the unit, obviously you would just type it in. So let's go do a lookup. Let's do a product, and we'll do back to a motorcycle here. Keep it real simple. And here's what I got for motorcycles. Let's just say he's going to buy one of these, this one right here. Okay. Nope. There again, what's important here, we don't have any deposits. If there were deposits, it would tell me the amounts. We're making 14% on this right here. So if we want to change, maybe I'm not making enough. Maybe I'm looking at this and say, you know what, you can increase it. You can say, you know what, I'm going to sell this for $13,500. So you can mark it up, you can mark it down. It doesn't really matter. Maybe that's all I want to do. Just keep it simple. That's what I sold it for. That's how much money I got. Obviously, you know about some of these other things as far as taking a trade. You know about, adding a free format, just typing whatever you want to type in. You could even just say, look, I'm going to give you $1,000 off. I'm giving you a discount for $1,000. And you can also do that by right here. I can say, there again, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. And, I'm just discounting this $1,000, flat fee. Now, obviously, I increased the price over here, and then I gave him $1,000 discount here. The net result is about the same, but sometimes it just looks better. So there's various different ways of doing it. Bottom line is that's what I want. I want to cash it out. Let's cash it out. Selling it. I sold this let's look at the calendar. Let's go back here and say I sold this March. And maybe we sold this on the 20th. Okay. Here's the bottom line. Not a deposit. We're making a sale here. Now maybe I finance this here. If you do click financing, obviously it'll come up and list your finance companies. Here's my 2 finance companies, and now my household finance is going to get built. And here's my invoice. Obviously this would be a logo. Here's where you're selling them. Here's the bottom line here. Obviously this financial, they're the ones that are going to get billed. And was the total amount of the build. Now, what that will do internally, obviously went out to the customer's database and recorded that the customer bought it from you, and it recorded as being fully paid. The customer doesn't owe you any money. It also went out to household finance and basically said they owe you $12,000. So you should be getting a check from them momentarily. Okay, so what we really covered so far is going in, adding some units here, going in, selling units here. What we're going to be going over next is we're going to be going over things like customer typically walks in the door. There may be things that you may want to do right here, like what's quick price? Well, what quick price is? Somebody walks in and says, hey, look, what can you afford? Before we really get started, what is your budget? Well, I can afford $300 a month. Okay. I hit the tab key. Right now, I think I can get you an interest rate with your credit at about 9%. What are you looking at? Well, maybe we're looking at 36 months. Okay, well, let's just hit F12. Yeah, it looks like you're good for about $10,000. Well, what happens? Can I extend that to 48 months? Well, if you extend that to 48 months, let's see what we can do here. Well, we can get you up to 14,000. Still keep your payments the same. So this is really just used for a quick to get started. Hey, look at, that's usually the first question somebody wants to ask. What can you afford? This here works a little bit differently. Quick payment. This works the opposite, where you can say, okay, you want to buy something. It's $15,000. I know that I can get you a loan at 9%. I can get it at 60 months. And we're just going to say, okay, process this right here. Keep it simple. You're looking at $309 for 60 months. This is what you're going to pay, your total finance charges. This is what you're going to pay when the note's done. Obviously, if I go down here and change that to 48 months, it significantly changes, $370. So that's what these two things are for right here. Just quick price, quick payment before you get started. This right here is something that is very useful. If somebody just, lots of times, obviously if you're selling units, this is where you're going to be. Create and recall a unit. Now some people use it as a prospect system. Some people don't. Some people don't go into this until the unit's already sold. That's it. When it's sold, that's when I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put all the information in, sell it, done deal. Some people use a prospecting system, and by doing that and saying, okay, we'll call you back next week, at the beginning of every week, they run this report right here, follow-up report by salesperson. But this is a nice tool right here. Unit lookup and search. End quote. If somebody walks in and says, hey, can you tell me something about what's sitting over there in the corner? Well, what do you have? First, you may go here and find out what their dollar amount is. Then you may go here and say, okay, let's do a lookup. All right, you're looking at something for around 15,000. Let's see what we got. Here's what we got here. I got I got a nice center console. It's 19, a little bit more than what you want. I got this right here, this adventure. Let's look at that. Now, I actually can print out a sticker. Now, I may not want to hand them a copy of this, but I may want to look at it on the screen. If I want to hand them a copy, I can have a note here that I've actually, put one in here already. I can cut and paste, or you can type in some little thing here. Now you can have a standard one go there. And what this will just tell you all the information about this product. Obviously, it's pretty simple. That's all it is, $15,000. Your disclaimer would be here. Your message would be over here. And now you have the option of just going over all the different options. Now, that's where it's important, where when you're putting your units in, where you list a lot of options. So you can really explain, well, this is what it includes, has this, has that. So you can have all the information about it. If you want to print this out and give it to somebody, that's fine. If you want to email it to somebody, you can also do that. Or if you just want to quote it, hey, if you're interested in that, it's $15,735. That's it, without tax. Anything else you're interested in? There again, I can look up anything. Tell them exactly what I have in stock. What are you looking for? Boats, motors. It doesn't matter what type of product it is. So this is kind of a nice convenient way just to go into the system, look things up, print it out if you want to print it out, hand it to the customer, or just quote the customer a price. You're not going to ask him his name. You're not going to ask him any information. Just somebody kicking tires. When they get serious and maybe it's a real potential customer, that's when you want to go into here. And there again, if you hit the enter key, these are all people that I quoted deals on that haven't bought product yet. Obviously, if I click here, this will now list all my dealers that have actually bought products. So you'll see all the ones that say sold here. These are people that we sold products to. Normally, you don't want to see sold. You want to see just what's open. These are people that we quoted. They still haven't purchased yet. And here's people that gave me a deposit. I have a $100 deposit from this guy, Peter. Okay. So what we've gone over here is really just putting inventory in and how to relieve inventory and sell it. And as you're well aware, all your sales are all going here. Sales journal. If we look, and we look at what we sold today, I want to print details. Here's all the units we sold. And what our percentage of profit was for each one. 18, 30, 13. What we took in on trade, the bottom line for the deal. Here's what's in the registers. Here's what we billed out. Here's what we financed. Here's the salespeople. Is all the detail of what we've done. And if we want, we can actually get a detail listing of all the different types of products we sold and where we made our money. This is what we did on boats. Here's what we did on Hondas. Here's what we did on trailers. And here's my profit for each one of those products separated so that I can see what am I making on Wright trailers, what am I making on Hondas, what am I making on Yamahas. Here's my profit margin there again. This is the same report we went over on the sales journal video. Okay, that concludes this section.